X season, and I appreciate the respect there, not using the O word, X season results in lots of coaching changes. How would Pate State handle staff turnover? And how much does staff turnover affect the team? Or does culture outweigh it? So for those of you who think that sounded weird, we do not use the word off-season. Neither does our audience. Unless you're very new, you don't know any better, but now you know better. So Brent said, hey, when we're in that X season, you normally see a lot of coaching changes. You're running Pate State University. That is our own personal university. That also sounds pretty weird if you're new here. How would we handle that staff turnover? I'm going to tell you two recent examples of folks that really have this figured out, and they do it the way that I would do it. Notre Dame does it the way I would do it. Ohio State does it the way I would do it. Think about how seamless this was. You know, once upon a time you had Urban Meyer, but think about more recently. Brian Kelly leaves Notre Dame. Now that would cripple most programs. That would be a crowbar to the shins. That would be a what? That would be a Nancy Kerrigan special for most folks. If you know, you know. And Notre Dame said, okay, Marcus, you're up. And a lot of the rest of the country said, wait, what? Where's the national coaching search? They said, no need to have one. We already had our replacement already in-house. Ditto when Urban Meyer left. And that was a shocker to a lot of college football. Do you remember where you were, or at least remember what you felt when you turned on your phone or you turned on TV that day and you saw scrolling across the bottom line, Urban Meyer out at Ohio State? You thought, there goes the Buckeyes. There goes Ohio State. Uh-oh, Michigan about to step up. Penn State about to take over. And not only did that not happen, but Ohio State did not even conduct a national search. They said, we have no need to do that. Our replacement's already in-house. So at Pate State, God forbid, our head coach, whoever that is right now, if he were to step down or we were to have to fire him or whatnot, I want my replacement already in-house. And the question Brent asked, there was that culture word at the very end. This is where culture rubber really meets road. Everyone talks about culture. Most people don't have a good enough one. If you really got that A-plus culture, that strong culture, you've hired correctly. And because you've hired based on the right values and principles, you're looking for the right ingredients in staffers, in other words, because you got a whole building full of the right staffers, inevitably, some of them are head coaching material. And so the perfect world is we've got the guy we want in place right now, but we're also cultivating via culture underneath him. And what you want, when you've arrived and you've really got the culture rolling the way you want it, is when you can do what Ohio State did, or you can do what Notre Dame just did. And a guy leaves and the replacement's already there. Think about how much continuity that maintains in recruiting when you don't even have to introduce a new head coach, let alone a new staff. And the guys that are committed, they already know him. That just reinforces what you've been telling recruits. You've been telling them you need to buy into Notre Dame or buy into Ohio State because we've got culture. We've got a unique culture, a stronger culture. Well, every coach is telling those kids that. But then when one coach moves on and you just promote from within, you don't have to preach culture anymore. You're showing it in real time. It's playing out. That's the way I'd run Pate State. I want my replacements already in-house. I would ask this, and this happens a lot. I would ask, if I just had a change at head coach and my replacement is not in-house, who is that a reflection on? And I'm talking about if I'm an athletic director or a university president or a chancellor. I am all of the above at Pate State. If my head coach leaves or retires or let's say he gets fired and I don't have obvious replacements or at the very least candidates for head coaching replacement in-house, do I need to rethink the way I'm doing things? Just something to think about there. So hopefully we would never arrive at that because we would have the replacements already there at Pate State. But see, that kind of conflicts with another philosophy I have. So it sounds kind of hypocritical, and I'm going to admit this, because I'd also tell you at big programs like Ohio State, I've also been of the mentality that I want to hire a guy with head coaching experience to be my head coach. I think that I am such a lofty program in terms of stature that I don't have to take a risk on finding out if a guy can be a head coach on my watch. But then I just told you I always want to promote from within. 9/10 of the time, if you promote from within, that means giving a guy his first head coaching opportunity. There is a little hypocrisy in that. I guess that is counterintuitive a little bit. I guess when I tell you I would not hire new head coaches at my place, I'm speaking as an outsider. Whereas if I were actually at that university and I knew those guys back to front and front to back, I know them on a much deeper level than an outsider like me currently could ever know them. And so maybe if I had that kind of access, maybe that philosophy would change. So I guess that's a 50,000 foot view versus an in-house view. And that's the way I'm going to justify that. Although at the very, very end of the day, it does still sound a little counterintuitive. That's what we're workshopping. In the X season, we workshop these sorts of things so that by the time we get to August, everything sounds in line and it makes perfect sense. Fingers crossed.